So what's the first category? Array functions, right? Okay. So generally these array functions are used to work with the arrays. Right? So there are many things like, sometimes, what happens is when we are retrieving the values from external source, then the size of the array will be set automatically based on what's the collection that we have got. Based on the collection size, array size will be automatically set. Then we don't know what is the array size at that moment. So far whatever we are using, right, or whatever the arrays that we have used, we only defined the array size. What is the maximum size that has to be used, even though it is a dynamic or fixed size array, but manually we defined the size of the array. But in certain situations, we don't define the size of the array. But instead of we define, then the size will be automatically set. Now let's say, for example, I have certain values. Take an application. I have certain, when I enter the keyword, it returns certain results. Then all the results have to be stored in an array. But I don't know how many results have been returned. But during runtime, then I have a method. We have certain methods available in the script to count how many are there. Then based on that, the array size will be set. Or in certain situations, okay, yesterday you asked the question, say, what in case if you don't have any method to count also, then we will loop it number of times, and then based on that we will keep increasing the array size based on number of times loop is executed. But then once the loop is executed, array size will be set automatically based on how many values, then all the values will be stored. Now after that, what I need to do is I need to know what is the array size set there. Because we didn't give manually, array size was automatically set. Then after that I need to know what is the array size set. When you are taking the values from Excel, then I need to know how many rows have come into the array or how many columns have come into the array. As I told, then it is a array, row is the first dimension and column is the second dimension always. So the question is here, how I can get the maximum size, maximum index size, which is set for an array. That's called as an upper bound. Maximum size of an array called as an upper bound. The lowest size of an array called as lower bound. Then what I have to do is here, I have to get the upper bound of the array. Write down the function. So first function is upper u bound. Function name is u bound. So this function is used to retrieve the upper bound of an array dimension. Upper bound of an array dimension. Okay, that do is here. So I have got the array already. Just got the array. So syntax is like this. U bound of, syntax is U bound of name of the array, comma, dimension number. Dimension number in a sense you want for first dimension or you want for second dimension, like that. Comma 1 means first dimension it is. Number of that's not the index number you are providing, that is the dimension number. U bound of so and so array, comma 1 means first dimension you are retrieving. Comma 2 means second dimension. What it will return now? Any guess? What is the maximum dimension of first dimension? Sorry, maximum size of first dimension? 1. So it returns as 1. This returns as 1. That's it. Then if I give 2 here, now let me do one thing. I am setting the second dimension size to 5. What will be the returned value? What is the maximum size of second dimension? 5. Says 5. So it will not return the maximum value, or it will not return the value what is stored in that index. But what it does exactly is, what is the maximum size of an array, particular dimension of the array. If it's a first dimension, what is the maximum index size set? It depends on whatever you have given that set. But in real, we don't give that size manually, but that size will be automatically set, right? Then okay, so we have to get whatever the size is set for that array. To get that, we use upper bound. You are going to get the example in the same session. Okay, where exactly we use upper bound. Got? Does it mean? Then one more thing that you need to remember here is the second one, dimension number you have given, right? The dimension number is optional. In case if you don't provide any dimension number there, it takes first dimension by default. It takes first dimension by default. So when you see U-bound of just an array name, then it takes the first dimension. If it is single dimensional array, then you don't need to provide anything. So you just say U-bound of that array. But if it is multi-dimensional array, then you have to specify the dimension number in case if you are getting from second dimension or third dimension like that. But if you are, even though it is multi-dimensional, but if you still want to get for first dimension only, then you can just say U-bound of that array. Now let's say, okay, let me take an example here. What we need is, assume it's a two-dimensional array, then I have got all the values from somewhere, maybe table in the application, or maybe Excel, or maybe database, or maybe somewhere, maybe XML, somewhere. I got entire data from external source to array. Okay, so depends on number of values columns are there, then what I have to do is, the values have been stored accordingly. So my requirement here is, what I need to do, I need to display all the values from second row, from all the columns. You got what I am saying here? I need to retrieve all the values from second row. But I don't know how many columns are there. When I say all the values from second row, what I have to do? I need to count how many columns are there. Then I have to say first row, first column, second column, third column, fourth column, fifth column. Depends on number of columns are there. But since that was retrieving the values into an array was happening runtime, that means my script only doing that. So I don't know how many values have come exactly. So in such cases, if you want to display each and every value in second row, third row, fourth row, depends on your input, whatever the row it is. So it has to count how many columns are there automatically. Then it has to loop from first column to last column in the array. Then how we can do this? Then, so a column is nothing but the second dimension, right? To count how many columns have come, then you say total columns equals to U-bound of so and so array comma 2 if you provide. That means retrieve the U-bound of second dimension so that it will return the count of the columns. Then loop it from 0 to that maximum index size. Then first column to last column it is. So this is what, so sometimes we don't know how many values, how many columns have been created in the array, how many rows have been created in the array. To get that information, you can use upper bound. Based on the maximum index size, then you can get how many columns have come or how many rows have come. Not only that, if you have three-dimensional array, if you want from third dimension, you can say U-bound of array comma 3 for third dimension. But if I give 3 here, see what happens. It will throw the error because I don't have the third dimension. Subscript out of range U-bound. That means the dimension range whatever you have given gone beyond the available bound dimensions. Yeah, but it won't return number of values, but it will return only the index size. That's it. Maximum index size. Index size means it will zero only. It will start from zero only. That is number of values. But what I am saying, it doesn't return number of values. It returns the maximum index size. Yeah. 5. What is the 5 here? Index size. Maybe 6 values might be there inside this, but it won't return like that. It will start counting from 0 because it will count only index size, not the values. Remember. Now what you can do, here it is, right? Second row. Second row means, I'll tell you, 0 to okay, so don't get confused with the loop. I will come to this loop later part. Loops is one of our concept, right? What does it mean here is 0 to the U bound. What is the U bound there? 5. So I'm giving 2, right? 5. Then if you want from second row means index number will be for row 1. 1 comma, what does it mean there? What is I value? I value will be starting from 0. First time it will be 1 comma 0, 1 comma 1, 1 comma 2, 1 comma 3, 1 comma 4, 1 comma 5. So all the values in the array. I mean in the second row. Like that you can read. I mean this same dynamic array also same, because size will be dynamically changing. Whatever the size is there, it will automatically get, right? We don't, I mean, no, because that is the use of U bound. When you don't know the size, U bound will automatically fetch that. If you don't know also, that will get, because the scripts understand in that way. So to get it, because we don't know how many values are there. If you know how many values are there, you don't need to get that U bound and one more method. You can directly give us 5 here. When you know what is the size, then you don't need to retrieve upper bound runtime. So you can directly give us 5, because we know that the maximum index size is 5 there. But because that is changing dynamically, and because we don't know what is the size set there, then my script has to automatically get what is the size. That's the reason U bound has come. If we know the size, then what is the use of U bound? Because we don't know the size, then we are using U bound to get it automatically. This is the reason, because I don't know, right, how many I have got from into an array. I want to display each and every value, or I want to use, or sometimes what happens is there are 20 data sets have come into an array. Okay, depends on how much amount of data I have placed, or how much amount of data somebody has placed in the external file. All the data has come into an array. Now I have to execute my script for all the data sets. All the data sets. All the data sets is nothing but number of rows. Then I don't know, I said 20 here, but it doesn't mean that only 20 all the time, right? Sometimes it could be 15, or sometimes it could be 10, or sometimes it could be just 5, like that. So since I don't know, then I cannot directly say 0 to 5 or 0 to 10 like that. So once I get the values into an array, then what I will do to execute for each and every row, I will say 0 to U bound of array. When I give that first row to last row, then inside I will place the script. So for each and every row, it will execute. This is the use. But if I say 0 to 20 in the loop, then can you expect only 20 as a maximum index size all the time? No. Right? That is a main use. So because the size of the data will be keep changing in the array, then my script should automatically, if there are 20 rows in the array, script loop should be executed for 20 times. Then if the 5 rows are there in the array, loop should be executed only for 5 times. Like that. My script should automatically adjust accordingly. So I have to get the size automatically, and then loop will be automatically adjusted. You got what I am saying here? That is the main use of upper bound. Next, lower bound. What is meant by lower bound? Lowest index size. What is the lowest index size of an array? 0. No matter whatever the dimension it is, first dimension or second dimension, every dimension will start with 0. So L bound returns 0 always. L bound returns always 0. So we generally don't use L bound. We can directly hard code to 0 because there is no point. What I'm doing is here lowest index equals to L bound of same whatever the syntax we have used for U bound, then same syntax for L bound also. But only thing is L bound, no matter whatever the index number that you have provided, then for every index number it returns 0. In case if the index you have provided is more than available dimension, whatever the dimension you provide, then it returns the lowest index for that dimension. If the dimension whatever you have given there, if that particular dimension is not available, it throws the error. Like if you give L bound myRef comma 3, that means for third dimension you are trying to retrieve. But the third dimension is not there in the script array, right? Then it throws the error saying subscript out of range. But otherwise, if you are given 1 there or if you are given 2 there, it returns 0. So that is the reason this L bound is not much helpful for us. We generally, instead of using L bound to U bound, we can directly say 0 to U bound always. Okay. So if you want to see that, so I'm just displaying the L bound value there. So this one, so this loop is only to retrieve the value one by one. So it is retrieving 0, that is the lowest dimension. This is for values. Second row, right? First value. I value is 0. Val 2, val 3, val 4 and empty, because 1 comma 4 is empty. I have not assigned any value. 1 comma 5 I have not assigned any value. So this retrieves the values from all the columns. Okay, so this is what U bound and L bound. And then next, write down split. Function name is split. So what is the meaning of split in generic English? Break. I mean, that's a scenario. So here also it does the same thing. But what it does is exactly when I have a huge string I want to break that string into collection of words. That means each and every word should be retrieved individually. So whenever you want to split a string into collection of words or collection of values, then we can use split function. This is one of the important function, and this is one of the function which we use very frequently. Okay. Then write down the definition for split. This function is used to split a string into collection of words based on the delimiter. There is something called delimiter. Split a string into collection of words or collection of values, you can say, based on the delimiter. Delimiter. DELIMETR, delimiter. Then what is meant by this delimiter is, how do you split a string into collection of words? What's the criteria used? Wherever the space has come, you have to split it. So each word is separated by. So then space is a delimiter here. The criteria which we use to split is nothing but the delimiter. Now I have one example. I have one requirement here. Requirement is, I will give you an entire email ID. Okay. Now say str email equals to, I'll just give like this. From this, I want to get only the mail ID, only the ID, not entire email. I want to get only ID. How do you get that? What you do is, you just split that email with at. Right? You split that email with at symbol. The first part, when you split with at, the first part will be the ID. You get the first part. At is a delimiter here. That's what at the rate means at. Okay, generally. Right? So now when I split with at here, how many values it will come? 2 values. It will split into 2 values. So all the 2 values it will take and it will be stored into an variable. That variable will become an array automatically. The reason because it's not a single value it is returning collection of values. Okay? Then syntax is like this. Collection equals to split of a state email. What is the string that you want to split? I'm passing that string through a variable, that's it. Comma. Second one is a delimiter. What is the criteria you want to split? Okay. So now what it does? It will split that email by using at. It will retrieve whatever the values it returned after splitting. All the values will be coming into this. That variable will become an array automatically. You know the reason why it becomes an array? Because it is not returning one value, right? It is returning the collection of values. It is returning collection of values. When you assign the collection of values to a variable, then that variable will automatically become an array. So initially I told that in certain places you don't need to explicitly define a variable as an array. As soon as you assign some collection to a variable, then that variable will automatically convert it into an array. I have not defined any size, anything for that array, right? Now I want to know how many values have come into array. Based on the index size. If index size is 1, 2 values have come. Because index is automatically setting there. If index size is 2, 3 values have come. Like that. Then what I will do is here, message box, ubound off, because I don't know how many values are coming, because that is splitting during runtime only, right? The values collection is being assigned during runtime only. This index size is 1, upper bound is set as 1. Then what you can do here is, for I equals to 0 to ubound of mail collection, that means 0th index size to maximum index size. It may be 1 or it may be more also sometimes. You cannot directly say it as 1. Mail collection of I. What I am doing here? First time I value starts from 0. Mail collection of 0, first value. Mail collection of 1, second value, like that. So first value, second value. Okay. Now Since we know that only two values have come, then you can easily count how many are there. So U bound also won't make too much of a difference here. Then 1 minute. Let me take something here. Let me write. Okay, that's a string I've got. Now what I have to do is I need to split that string into collection of words. How do we do that? I'll say word collection is just a variable. I'm using word collection equals to split of str comma space. But remember, I don't need to, when it is space is a delimiter, I don't need to give that. That is a default delimiter. When I say split of str, then by default space will be taken as a delimiter. But in case if your delimiter is other than space, okay, so sometimes separator could be underscore. So I have to split my word string based on the underscore. Wherever the underscore has come, split accordingly. And here in previous example it was at. So if the delimiter is other than space, then you must have to provide the delimiter. But in case if the delimiter is space here, that means the criteria what you want to use to split the string, if that is space, then you don't need to give that. That is a default delimiter that what we have. Now can you say how many words have come? Little difficult, right? And again, sometimes you will get huge string in the application, and then you split into that. Can you count how many are there? Maybe the string will be keep changing. It's not only the same string every time that you will be getting. String also will be changing. But during runtime we are splitting that. Runtime only I have to get how many words have come into that. For first, okay, let me display total vals or max index equals to U bound of word collection. U bound of word collection. What does it mean? Retrieve the maximum index size. But we are nowhere specifying the size there, right, for that array. But how we are getting here? Then as soon as it splits, then depends on number of values or returning, then that word collection size will be automatically set there. If 10 values have come, array size will be automatically set to 9. If 20 values have come, array index size will be automatically set to 19. That is happening during runtime. We don't know. Then that's the reason we are using U bound. Then if you want to display the each value, you can say for I equals to 0 to max index. I mean U bound already I am taking it to max index there. Right? Max index is nothing but the same. Message box word collection of I value will be 0. So word collection of 0, word collection of 1, 2, 3 till the maximum. I did not display the max index, right? I didn't use one by one. If you see that, one by one, it is coming automatically. That's it. So loop will be executed automatically, depends on how many values are there in the array. That is the main use of U bound. When we don't know how many values have come into an array, then if you want to loop through each and every value, then you can use the 0th index size, or you can say L bound of word collection to U-bound of word collection, but it won't make any difference from 0 to U-bound. So because L-bound also returns as 0 only. Okay. Then, so it can be, you can use any delimiter whatever you want, but at a time only one delimiter can be used. At a time only one delimiter can be used. So it's not a delimiter, it's not only the special character, you can use normal characters also. Now, what I'll do is,
the delimiter is not found, use the entire.
if delimiter
Is not found in the.
Yes. Now let's see. Okay, I'm coming to that. Now, what I will do is, I'll give the delimiter as at. At is not there. Right? Whatever the delimiter I have given, the delimiter is not found in the string. Let's see what it returns. Entire string will be written as an array, 0. That word collection of U-bound will be 0 only, because when the delimiter is not found in the string, then it will still return as an array only, but entire value will be written as 0. So how many values are returning here? Only one value. So the U-bound will be automatically set to 0. U-bound of that array, because only one value, right? So only one value means in the array it will be 0th index size. Okay? Fine. Next. Another function is join. Function name, right up, join. So what is the use of split? It splits a string into collection of values, right? That is the use of split into an array. Now, I have an array already with me. That means I have the collection of values in an array. Just opposite or vice versa, whatever we have done, just opposite to that. I have the collection of values already with me. Based on that collection of values, I need to generate one string. I need to generate a string. Okay? Then, so let's see like this. What I have is dim error name collection of 3. Something I have given. Okay? So error of name collection of 0 equals to maybe again 1 equals to 2 equals to you can have more values also, no problem. Now each one in this array each name or each part has given to one index number. So entire name is there in one collection for me in an array. Now based on the values whatever are there in the array, I need to generate one string. So whatever we have done earlier, we had a string earlier, then we broke into collection of values. Now we have the collection of values in an array, then based on that I need to make a string. Then what we need to do here, what I will do is str equals to join, function name is join. Then array, which array values we need to store, which array values we need to join. You just need to give only array name. You don't need to say array of indexes, array of 2, something like that. You just give the name of the array. Then there is one more is delimiter again. Delimiter is when it is joining, right? What is the delimiter it has to keep in between each and every word? Do you want to keep only space in between each and every word, or do you want to keep underscore in between every value, or you want to keep any other character in between each and every word. Now I want to keep only space in between each and every value which is being appended. Then what you do is, you can just say join of array. By default, space is a delimiter here. Message box str. So what it is doing is, it will join all the values into one string that will return as string, and then I'm storing that string in a variable called str. I'm displaying that particular str now. Now what I will do is, see, underscore has come. It may not be only the special character, okay, it can be any characters. Now I want to keep a in between, or abc in between each and every value. I want to place abc. You can see, right? That's what the join means for. And one thing that you need to remember in the join function is, which is two-dimensional array. Then str equals to join of my array comma, just let it be space, type mismatch. Remember, whenever you are joining, then the array must be single dimensional array, and only one array values, only one array can be joined at a time. You cannot give two arrays into a single string. Then what you need to do is, later that you have to take one array values into one string, second arrays into second string. Then if you want to get one, then you need to append both values. So at a time, for join function, right, for one function you can use only one array. That too, that array must be single dimensional array. If it is multi-dimensional, it will not work. So this is what you need to remember when you are using join function. So make sure that the array, whatever you are passing, that array is a single dimensional array. It's not multi-dimensional array. So otherwise you will get the error like this, type mismatch, because it's not able to convert. Okay, so split is for when I have a string, to break that into collection of values, and it returns an array, right? And join means when I have an array, that means when I have the collection of values, to make a single string or to generate a string based on that collection, we use join. Okay, next. Another function is array. Function name itself array. This function is used to convert a scalar variable into array variable. Convert a scalar variable into array variable. Okay. Then say now dim. What it is? It's a scalar variable because I have not used any parenthesis while declaring it. But sometimes in certain situations what happens is in when you are automating the applications and all, sometimes application may return single value. When application returns single value, then that remains a scalar variable. But in certain situations, our application may return multiple values. Application may return multiple values. Then what it has to do is, it should automatically convert into an array, then it has to store all the values. That means in certain situations, only single value I need to append, or sometimes I need to store multiple values. So what I have to do here is, first I will define it as a scalar variable. Normally like that. Then what I will do, whenever I come to that situation in the application, first I will count how many values have come. If value count is only 1, then keep that remaining, str equals to that value as it is. If value count is more than 1, count how many are there, then this should be automatically converted into an array. You got what I am saying here? So there are certain situations where applications may return one value or multiple values. When it is only one value, the variable remain a scalar variable, and when it is multiple values, then application should, the various scalar should be converted into an array. Then how that can be done is by using array function. Str equals to array, simple. That converts into a dynamic array. Then you can say redeem my array, redeem str of 2. What I am doing, it should be str. I am redefining the array to index number 2. Then you can store like this. Str 0 equals to any value you can give there. Like this. Okay. Then if you say max u bound of then it returns 2 as an index size. Or syntax is like this, array of, okay? Or assume that I have 10 values. While converting into array itself, I can provide the values. Instead of saying str equals to array of empty parentheses and redefining the size and assigning the values, I can also give like this. Instead of doing like this, while converting itself, values, whatever the values that I have, right? Str equals to array of val1, val2, val3. How many values I am assigning here? 3 values in the list I have given. So array size will be automatically set based on the number of values that I have given. But still that is a dynamic array. Then if you have got more values than whatever I have given, again you can use redeem reserve str of 10 or str of 5, something like that. So you can directly assign the collection there like this. So and so variable equals to array of list of values, whatever the values that we have. Or if you say that, okay, now I will make it as a dynamic array, I will assign the values later. Then you say, so variable equals to array of empty parentheses. Then that will be converted into an array. Later you can redefine the size of an array and then you can assign the values. It depends on the situation. When I say like I have 3 values, all the 3 values directly should be assigned to that variable. Say a variable equals to array of val1, val2, val3. Directly you provide that. Or you can also do that. Variable equals to array of empty parentheses, redeem so and so variable of 2, so that I am defining the indexes, and then say variable of 0, variable of 1, variable of 2, like that. Both are same. Okay, so whenever you want to assign the collection of values into a scalar variable, or whenever you want to convert a scalar variable into an array variable, then this function helps us. Okay, I mean that's a dynamic array, right? That's a dynamic array. If you have got more values, then first define with empty parentheses. Then you will automatically get how many values. Later you count how many values are there in the application. Assume there are 20 values are there in the application right now. Then you can get the count. You can get the count. Then you can say redeem my array of whatever the value, whatever the variable. That sounds a variable of total count minus 1. Because if 20 values are there, 19 is an index number. We can do that. Okay. So array function is used to convert a scalar into array variable. Then one more is here. I've got single dimensional array. Fine. I want to eliminate the values from the array. I want to remove all the values from an array. But if you want to remove an individual value from an array, then you can say like this. From which index number I want to remove? Maybe index number 1 I want to remove the value. To remove the value, you have this option. You just set the empty value. That's how we can eliminate the value from an indexes. But now what my requirement is, I want to remove all the values from an array directly. Then what you can do is write down the function. Function name is arrays. So this function is used to erase all the values from an array. Erase all the values from an array. Okay. Write down a small note below. Write down a note below for this. Erase function will work in a different way. Arrays function will work in a different way from dynamic array to fixed size, or from fixed size array to dynamic array. Arrays function works in a different way from fixed size array to dynamic array. Okay? Then what's the difference is here, when it is fixed size array, it will eliminate the values, but index sizes will be there. Index will be remain same. But when it is dynamic array, not only the values, whatever the index size you set for that array, even that index size also will be eliminated. That means array will come to the base state, declaration state. When you use arrays, then it will bring the array to the declaration state. Now, so what I will do is, so syntax is arrays of array name. You just provide only the name of the array. You don't need to give any index size or anything. Just to say arrays and name of the array. Then message box ubound of array. After that, I am trying to retrieve ubound. What is the maximum size here after erasing all the values? For I equals to 0 to ubound of this, what I am doing, after erasing, I am just trying to get the maximum index size, and I am trying to get each and every value inside it. If you see, still index size is 2 only. But if you see that, what's the value? All the values are empty. That means all the values have been erased from first index to last index. Now what I will do is, what I've done here, so I made it as dynamic array. Then after I'm using erase function for dynamic array, and let's see what happens this time. It says that subscript out of range U bound, line number 12, because there is no index size set. It's erased the memory as well. Now what exactly happened here is, when it comes to the dynamic array, then not only the values, also the memory, it will bring to base state in a sense to the declaration state. But when it is fixed size array, index size will remain there. When index size is there, empty values will be there by default. Then whatever the values were assigned to each index size, only those values will be erased. So that is the reason whenever you are using erase function, before you use it, just check whether it's a dynamic array or it's a fixed size array. Okay? Then how do you erase all the values in the dynamic array? I want to keep the index. I don't want to erase all the values. I want to keep index. But all the values have to be eliminated from each index. Then in that case, you cannot use erase function. Just write some simple logic here. For I equals to 0 to U bound of what I am doing, I am just setting empty value to each and every. First time, name collection of 0 equals to empty. So in the first index, 0th index says empty value will be set. I value will be 1 next. So array of 1 equals to empty. So one index size also set to empty. Array of 2 empty. So I am retrieving each and every index size, and then I am setting the empty value into each and every index size. So that's what I told. Inbuilt functions, right, will not meet all your requirement. So sometimes you need to write your own logic. But see, in this logic also I am using inbuilt function, U bound and all I am using. Okay, so this is how we can erase all the values from dynamic array also. Okay, right. Then there is one more function in the array. Right on. Function name is array. Function name is array. So this function is used to check a variable is an array variable or scalar variable. Okay, so if it is an array variable or scalar variable. Okay. Syntax is array of variable name. Is array of variable name. I'll just this dim. I'll just give like this. What is that variable? It's a scalar. I'll just display that message. I'm saying is array of. Then what will be the return? It returns true or false. In case if it is an array, it returns true. Otherwise, it returns false. Then this should return false this time, because that's not an array, right? It's a scalar variable. I declared a scalar variable there. False, because it's a scalar variable I declared. Then this time it has to return. So this is just to check only whether the variable is an array or a scalar variable. Okay, sometimes what we do inside when we are writing the programs, when you are taking values from external, right? Then we write some logic and all inside. Maybe somebody might have written the logic, or they might have written a method. Okay, so what that method does is it will take the input from application or something. Then if the input contains multiple values, then function will return collection of values. If input contains only one value, then method also return only single value. Then I want to know if it returns single value, then the variable will be again scalar variable. If the function is returning multiple values, then the variable will be converting into an array. So before I write my own logic, I have to check whether the function returned a single value or function return collection. Then how do you say if it is returned as collection, then whatever the variable I have used to take that output, that variable will automatically convert into an array. If the function is returned a single value, the variable remain a scalar variable only. So before I go ahead with my other logic to get each and every value or to execute for remaining, I will check whether the variable or the function returned an array or function returned a scalar. Then is array of that output variable equals to array, then loop it from all the values in the array. Otherwise, if the function returns single value, they take that direct value. So to do that kind of validation, we use is array to check whether it's returned array or it's returned a scalar. So these are some functions which we have in arrays. Okay, we will stop here today. Okay, so we'll go a little slow for a couple of days because functions you are seeing first time, you need to understand the syntax, and once you start using to them, then we can speed a little bit. Speed up a little bit. Clear what I have told? Okay, so we'll stop. And tomorrow again, date and time functions won't take this much time. And tomorrow we will cover both the date and time and the string functions. But remember, those functions are very important, especially string functions are very important. Because when we have an application, 60% of the validations goes on strings, string validations only, like all the successful messages, error messages, everything, whatever we get in the applications and all, right, in the form of text only. Whatever the information is displayed in the application, maximum it will be displayed in the form of text. So we have to validate whether the right text is displayed, right error message is displayed, or all this, right information is displayed or not. All these things we do the string validations most of the time. So that's the reason string functions are very, very important. Okay. Tomorrow we will cover that.